What is anything you can tell me about what we've learned so far this chapter? Regardless, we still have a job to do.
Do we get to watch Bill Nye?
No.
Bill Nye?
Okay. See, for some of you, if you would listen to your classmates, they've got good information for you.
Can I hear your
Okay.
good information?
Okay? So, why was that good information when you said methane, ethane, propane, butane? What are you stating when you say that? Number of carbons from what to what?
Left to right.
No.
Right to left.
The number of carbons. Right. So, propane is how many carbons? Three. And how many times have we said once you get to carbon number 5, it turns into a geometrical shape? So I don't believe it's a Herculean task to know what a pentagon is in pentane, what a hexagon is in hexane, what a heptagon might be a little difficult, but no one said this was going to be easy, that it was going to be just handed to you. Hopefully we know what an octagon is, whether we watch something Fight Club or whatever, or Stop Sign, whichever. Okay? Then you've got nonagon, nonane, and 10 years makes a decade or decane. Okay? That's what we mean. I would like to think that it's not such a Herculean task, that really you only have to know 4 of them. I suppose if you got past buckyballs, Buckmeister created common carbon elements of chains that are well over 60.
Who did?
Buckmeister. If you've ever been to Disneyland or Disney World, there's a big
Have you been there?
Yes, geodesic dome, I think is what you want to call it. It's named after Buckmeister, who created who discovered carbon compounds well past 60, I believe. Okay? And we probably have tried to explain this before too. This is just known organic compounds. No. Because the principle, and we are still only on page 2097. There's still about 200 more pages to go. No, this is a scientific company that's called Aldrich that you order organic compounds from. I suppose you could say.
Can you show us?
I think I can take a picture.
How old is that thing?
I don't know. But again, those are known organic compounds. Okay?
Is there any of this?
Is this where we start or left off? Do we need to back up? Okay? Okay, people. What do we mean by boats in auto bodies? It's a special type of fiber. Carbon fibers. What's so great about carbon fibers? What is it telling you about that? They're, not extremely. They're really, really light, but more importantly, you're not sacrificing what for being lightweight? Extremely what? Strong. Extremely strong. Okay? So why would something like this be important, not just for strength purposes, but just think of fuel purposes? Okay? It's light, you're going to take less fuel to run that. I agree.
2,800 pages. Don't need as much
Okay.
2,863.
Okay? And it's once, in common terms, what's a foundation? Right. What you learn in here sets the foundation, the base, on how to learn general chemistry. Some of you are possibly going to take organic and biochemistry that's offered here. Okay? Why do that? Because if you have a foundation of learning that already, you can just build upon that.
You have to take general chemistry?
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought we just had a conversation no more than 10 minutes ago that distracting things were going on during class, and then we're doing this. Tell me I'm wrong. Okay? The last part that we're going to be moving on to is biological compounds. Okay? I think that's next. It probably says proteins, right? Okay? You don't have to, let's say, write down the amino acids, but we do expect you to be able to match them. Not all 20, okay? Because that would be a Herculean task, okay? What we want you to be able to do is perhaps be able to recognize the first 3, and I think that's enough, okay? There's 3 amino acids we want you to know, and the reason we say that is they all have the same base in common. It's what's branching off of them that makes them unique. Okay? So with that, I just want to go ahead and get started a little bit. Okay? When you think of proteins, it's everything that drives chemical reactions in your body. It's everything that drives chemical reactions in mammalian bodies. Okay? For some of you who are farmers, okay, this might be important to you, especially if you go to, let's say, a special bull sale. And you could say heifers as well. Okay? If you are going to purchase a bull, okay, going to say you've got a registered bull for sale. Look left. Who would you want to sell your bull to?
I'll buy it.
Okay, there, you got a potential buyer. It's registered. It's been, I suppose you could say, documented veterinary. How much is your bull worth? Just give me a number. Maybe it's a good deal. Give me a number.
Maybe a carrot?
20,000. 30.
No!
That might be a little steep.
Maybe 25.
If you had maybe 3 of them.
Meet me at 225.
2,500. 5,000.
I would say 7 to 9 grand, perhaps.
Are you trying to buy some show bulls or what?
If it's registered, does that make it worth more?
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Because if it's registered, it's probably a purebred. Okay? And if it's a purebred, this is where you get to say cha-ching. Come on, you can do it. Come on.
How old is he?
There you go.
How
See?
old is he? How old is he?
I don't know. Now, the reason that that's so important, you might think, there are way too many proteins to ever account for. They're made up of 20 different amino acids. You might think, well, how's that even possible? How many letters are in the alphabet? 26. Does that put a limitation on the number of words that we actually know in the English language? No. So the number of proteins is pretty extensive. We don't even know all the proteins. Okay? It would be unfortunate, but if you are in western South Dakota, okay, you are out hiking, okay, and all of a sudden, and this is in the summertime, you hear rattlesnake. Okay. Now, just let me finish, all right? Should that happen, unfortunately enough, these are in what we call the family Viperidae because it's a viper. Okay? Some of you might go on to take zoology. They're different than elapids like mambas and cobras. They're different than sea kraits and snakes that you'd find in the ocean. Yes, you do find snakes in the water. But with these, their fangs, they can retract them and they'll bring them out. And if they envenomate you,
You're dead.
no, not necessarily.
The baby ones are
Okay?
That's all I know.
I'm surprised you know. What about the baby ones? What about them?
They can't control their battle.
Why they're more dangerous than the adults for exactly what you just said. No offense, I'm surprised somebody knew that. Okay? So there are 3 types of venoms we usually classify. A neurotoxin, a hemotoxin, or a myotoxin. Now, you wouldn't have to know what those are, but a neurotoxin is probably going to affect what? What system? Well, it's going to affect your heart because it affects your nervous system. Okay? There's also a hemotoxin. Okay? What is hemoglobin? No. Your blood. So a hemotoxin will affect your blood. So a myotoxin, probably the most difficult actually, I would think that no one's going to know this. It's not because you don't know it, you just haven't been taught that. It's just the way the man upstairs designed them and just how they break things down the digestive tract. But anyway, a myotoxin would affect muscles, okay? So one of the things that I've told students in the past that I think would be really, really fascinating to study is if these have such a dramatic effect of pain on the human body like neurotoxins possibly do, well, would that be beneficial to perhaps create a type of painkiller that is perhaps non-addictive? In other words, why is there a problem with fentanyl?
Because it kills you right away. Just a little bit kills you.
Right. Because some people might think a little is good, maybe more is better. Okay? So the problem is if an individual takes more than what's prescribed, that can be bad because it's going to start to suppress your nervous system. Okay? That's why you possibly go into cardiac arrest or your diaphragm starts working and you don't breathe anymore. But if you can, let's say, derive. What does derive mean?
Derive?
Yeah.
Like derive?
We talked about derivatives in here. What does methyl mean? It's derived from something.
Like your ethyl? From ethyl.
One too many.
Methyl.
Methyl is derived from methane. Ethyl is derived from ethane. So if you can derive a painkiller from a naturally occurring substance like envenomations from rattlesnakes, and it's not only just non-toxic but non-addictive and way more effective, wouldn't that be something that's very beneficial for the medical community? Especially not being addictive. That's the biggest thing, okay? And probably not as fatal either, okay? We cannot copy venoms. They are just way too complex. Even the biggest supercomputers, okay, cannot copy the genetic code for venoms. They're just way too complex, okay? Because Mother Nature has had by far a bigger head start than what we do with computers. Going back to what, 1950s, maybe when some of the first computers came out?
Are they trying to clone it?
Oh, I would certainly think so. That's why I said I think that would be fascinating to study, to derive treatments in medicine from some of these venoms. They're doing that for cancer treatments. I believe it's called the Israeli scorpion that actually helps treat brain tumors. Okay? and it's just a naturally occurring substance that's kind of like a smart bomb. Okay? It used to be, back in when we first invaded Iraq, if you want to call it invasion, okay, if the U.S. Navy or Air Force or whatever is going to drop a bomb, we didn't quite have the technology, so who can we pick on in here? Okay? So we're going to drop a bomb, and you have to have ground forces that do that. What is that bomb tracing or looking for? Not heat. It's looking for a laser signature. So that's what that bomb is looking for. Smart bombs are a little different. Those had the technology to actually have the coordinates probably in their flight path, so you didn't have to have ground forces that had laser-guided bombs. So things are always changing, whether it's the medical community, the military, any one of those. Okay? Yeah. Yep. Okay. So next week we're going to be able to finish this up. Okay. We're not going to quite get to that today, but this is what we want to do. And this is something that if you choose to do it, it'd be beneficial. Okay. Okay. I would not be pressing this on you if I did not think that you couldn't handle it. That's a triple negative, but it means they cancel each other out. It means I have faith in you that you can do this, because I've said before, I think you're all smart. You just choose not to do that. And I don't know why. That's something you can answer. I can't. Okay. Anytime you're dealing, someone give me an example of any acid, an organic acid. That's fine. Acidic is ethanoic acid. So how would you write ethanoic acid? How many carbons? No.
77.
Okay. So how do we know if we're dealing with an organic family known as acids?
Because it has a O. It has a O into a double bond.
Double bonded what? Okay. And then what else does it have? Okay. What a coincidence that you picked the perfect acid. You did. Thank your classmate. Okay. This is why. Okay. What column is nitrogen in? So how many bonds does nitrogen want?
5.
Okay. It wants 5. Okay.
It's not going to get 5.
But it's not going to get 5. How did you know that?
I'm a scientist. It already has 5.
Okay. So what this means is, what does that mean to you? Just those two lines. Then it would look like this. What atoms are here?
Oh, there's more nitrogens.
Someone said it. What? They're hydrogens. Okay? So these are hydrogen atoms. Okay? So what is this here?
A hydrogen.
And what about this?
Hydrogen.
This is a structure of the most basic amino acid. Okay? The reason it's an amino acid is, okay, an NH group is called an amino group. Okay? So this is the amino side. Okay? And then what is COOH mean? It's a what? It's an acid. So this is amino, and then this is the acid side. So that's where it gets its name, amino acids. Okay?
How does that nitrogen, because it obviously can't give off 5.
Okay?
How can it sit there?
So here's one bond, here's 2, here's 3. There's unshared pairs of electrons that count for number 4 and 5. Because we said it has 5 electrons. It wants five bonds, right? Yes. Yes. It can form 3, but I misstated that. It wants to form 3 bonds, but it's got 5 electrons. Okay? Because there's one here, there's one there, there's one there, and then there's number 4 and number 5. Okay? So this is okay? I'm telling you, it's also in your book. Okay? A lot of you can probably figure this out. This is the most basic amino acid. And I'm just going to write one more down. So it's all going to copy itself, which means we're going to make a different amino acid. So what does it mean for the amino side? What is the formula for amino?
NH2.
Okay, so NH2. And that nitrogen is bonded to a what?
Carbon.
Okay. And what goes up top?
Nitrogen.
Okay. And what is the acid side? No.
We'll see. Another carbon and then double bonded O.
Okay. So just like above, you have an amino side and you have an acid side.
Don't you need another hydrogen under your first carbon?
That's right, but we're not quite that far. You're too far ahead of us, which is a good place to be. Don't get me wrong. Okay? This is not a different amino acid because it's the same compound, right? So, no, not quite yet. The only difference, what?
Son, shut up. I can't see it. You literally can't see black. You're an idiot. You blind?
Okay? Well, move up a little closer. Okay? What is a methyl group? A little more specific. What is the formula for a methyl group? CH3. So you can write it like this, or you can write it like this. These are now different amino acids. The amino side is still the same. The acid side is still the same. But now that is what we call alanine. Yep. So there's one more amino acid we want you to know. Valine, but we'll get to that in just a moment. Again, what's that? How many carbons? That branch off of there, yes. Okay. You just want to see it today? Is that what you said?
Yeah, wait tomorrow.
Not tomorrow. Okay. Now, don't let this be overwhelming. You don't have to know this from memory. The only thing you have to be able to recognize is where the difference is here and here. Otherwise, the basic structure is exactly the same. Okay? Because for some of you that go on to take biochemistry, okay? What is a sickle cell as far as blood cells are concerned? Well, means they're shaped like that instead of spherical. All throughout the human genetic code. What is your problem? What is your problem?
I was here when Dave was kicking it.
You were looking back.
Okay? All throughout the human's genetic code of all of the millions of, what do I say, nucleotides, there's just one off that creates a blood cell to look like this instead of like this. You can't do anything with them. No, you just are anemic. Anemia just means you're not carrying enough oxygen in your blood. Because look at the size ratio. Look at how much oxygen that can carry as opposed to that. Twice as much. So that's why people are considered anemic. Okay? All right. So I think that's enough. We'll stop there. Monday, we'll finish this with your third amino acid. Okay? Now, for those of you who go on to take, again, biochemistry, you need to know all the structures, and there need to know 13 of them. Okay? So that's why it's a nice, slow progression. Okay? Again, don't let this be overwhelming. The only thing you need to know the difference is what's in the circle. Glycine and alanine. Valine we'll get to next week. Okay. So we'll finish the chapter, we'll review. You have a 2-part exam on Wednesday and Thursday, and Friday a lot of you are not here. You're down at either O'Gorman or at Howard Wood.
I think I'll be here.
Well, that's next week.
I'll try to be here. I'll try and be here for you.
For what part?
O'Gorman?
I don't know. There's 33 teams like that.
Okay? All right. We'll catch up to you next time.